Yeah!
All right. Hey everybody, it's been a little minute. I came just to catch up with 2026 because yeah, it's 2026 now. I haven't uploaded anything in a good bit. It's actually this time around. I don't think I have any real like super bad messages to say this time around. It was more or less just a uh sort of like a collection of what's been going on, what I've been doing recently. I'll get into all that. It's not just wasting your time here. So yeah, it's the first video of 2026, and I kind of just wanted to have a little like another update to an extent, to tell everybody how I've been doing, and sort of use this as an introductory video for the new year, just to try to start something. Um, let's just say it's been It's been actually pretty fine, all things considered. It's just, you know, making stuff has been a little bit on the decline. I think because whenever I sat down and made something before, I think I've went over in the past, it was something of like a super serious thing that I had to commit to, and I had to make it the best it can be. There was no mistakes. But I think over time I kind of just started like blanking out because I didn't find much of a purpose to keep continuing, I guess. Once again, this is going to be all unscripted because I feel like that's kind of the best way for everyone to see the transparency. I didn't really think of much to make over the course of the last part of the year. I think mainly because mostly I've been playing games, enjoying everything that's been coming out recently. Amidst the Switch 2, amidst some of the other releases this year, like Sonic Racing Crossroads and Eldenring Night Rain. And then Donkey Kong Bonanza, all that. I'll start with that, I guess. To get that out of the way, I think the year for games, I think I've had a really enjoyable year. In the beginning of the year, I actually was still playing Elden Ring to a not a crazy extent, but I was definitely like really into the game by this point. And I beat Millennia starting in the beginning of the year. I thought that was really awesome. And then turns out not that long after I start the DLC, it took me around like I'm saying 4 to 5 days from get to beginning to end my first playthrough. And then I fought Promise Consort Radon. Took me around 6 days. It was frustrating for what it was, but I definitely wouldn't say like I didn't have fun, because I think he's probably been my favorite fight in the entire game now. But I beat him, and then the same day I got confirmation that I was selected to participate in Nireen's beta test, actually. And I was really excited because I was already getting like an Elden Ring kick by this point, and to see like I felt like, because I never thought I'd get like this sort of opportunity ever to like actually participate in the game early. So having to get this opportunity was really awesome. And then the weekend came by, and the servers didn't work for the first day almost. So, I didn't take it personally because, again, this is just how servers work. And, of course, they're not meant to be perfect, right? But when the game actually started to work, and I actually took in what I was playing, I just instantly fell in love with it. Okay, it has its problems even after DLC and all that, but I don't think I'll get into those like super much in this. But I'll just say that I definitely was hooked on Night Rain, and especially when the game finally released, I was again all over it, trying to figure out what I could do. Um, it took a little bit to get used to, like with most From Software games. By this point, like we're gonna just probably die a lot, and then like maybe like give it time, and then you start figuring shit out, or start figuring stuff out. My bad. So that was that, and then same thing happened actually for Sonic Racing Crossworlds, as I actually got to participate in that beta as well. That was also really cool because it was almost back to back that I was able to, participate in games like I actually wanted to play. Because last year you had some big hitters to me, like you had Sparking Zero, Astrobot, and Epic Mickey, but I don't think I had really like the same kind of thing I had with like Nyrene and Crossworlds, and like eventually when we get on to the later end of the year, because I just didn't like those games are awesome to have as like in a collection, but they're not like games you can like sink your time into, right? Sparking Zero may be the only exception because it's a fighting game, but again, some games are just kind of meant to be turned on and then turned off after you're kind of done playing for the day. But getting back to this year, then the launch of the Switch 2 happened, and I have a lot of conflicting feelings on that matter. I'll just, I guess, sum it up as I feel that this could just happen with every console. The price range at when people found it out, it being $450, I thought was kind of. I don't understand why people were like all too upset about it. I kind of always saw that this was going to be more expensive than the Switch 1. I don't really get the like massive like vocality, I guess if that's a word, of people just being that annoyed about the prices. And that's just the console, right? Then you have the bundle, the one I have, which is the Mario Kart World Bundle, making it $500. I always thought of this as like how bundles usually work. I don't get why people were upset about this either. Again, I'm talking about the consoles, not the actual game price, because I'll get to that. With this, I believe that people were just kind of in awe because, oh my god, Nintendo's actually having more pricey stuff nowadays, and it's kind of. I found this kind of like obvious they were going to do that, right? It's a beefed up Switch, so I didn't really understand why people were so surprised that it had to cost more, like inner workings and all. So let's just say, yeah, before the Switch came out, Switch 2 actually released, it was a very, very loud crowd of people just not like crying about it per se, but just being really obnoxious with it, saying drop the price. You see those comments or whatever, and it gets very loud. But I think what people just don't understand is, if you really want the console, you're gonna get the console, right? Why? I don't think we need to be. I think Scott the Law said it best. These are just video games sometimes, right? If you really aren't invested in getting these consoles, you are not going to buy them. But the people who are and are probably being loud about it are probably still buying it anyway. Or better yet, have like a PS5 or an Xbox, but then will turn tail to Nintendo and say that's too expensive. Whatever their deal is. But that's just the console. Talk about the games. Mario Kart World, let's get that out of the way. That game does not deserve to be $80. That's obvious, right? As quality as it is, I don't believe it warrants an $8 price tag. But again, one of the companies I feel like was bound to do this at some point. right? I think Xbox, I'm pretty sure, tried to do it with the Outer Worlds 2, making that base $80 before they got backlash and changed it back. I could be wrong about that, but I just heard about it. And I saw it on like the PlayStation Store was $8, and I was checking to see if it was the, on a digital deluxe or deluxe edition, right? But I thought that was base game. It was $8, and I was like, why is it like that? So I feel like if Nintendo wasn't gonna do it, Microsoft was going to, like, just showing that alone. But again, $80 games, I don't think you can really ever justify, because yeah, nearing $100 in terms of games kind of sucks, right? I don't want to get into like economics and all that because I really don't think it's truly warranted in a conversation about video games like this. But it does suck. $70 was already like a ill kind of price tag, as quality as some games really are. Like your God of Wars, your Spider-Man games, even well, Donkey Kong Bonanza and Kirby Air Riders, and I'm even gonna say it too. Even like Mario Tennis Fever, as quality as those games are, getting around this price range is just really like it's a commitment, right? You either just buy it or you don't. So with that, I can't fully recommend Mario Kart World in its capacity, especially because you can play Mario Kart 8 for a decent price because of all the DLCs, plus the base game itself. I think is nearing $70 or $80 already. So if you want Mario Kart 8 in that regard, go for it, I guess. But if you really want to play Mario Kart World, it's not a bad idea, honestly. Just I want to let Mario Kart World cook a little bit before I say definitively that Mario Kart 8 is the better game. And after Mario Kart World I played, I thought it was a good sequel to base Mario Kart 8, but I wouldn't say like a better overall game because of course DLCs and all that. Now Donkey Kong Bonanza, I played that the last year as well. Genuinely a fantastic game. I don't really consider like Mario Odyssey to be like one of my favorite games of all time per se, because I felt like the exploration factor gets it gets really a little really like mind numbing to me at times, and I think that's the kind of the problem with like Nintendo games, like their platformers kind of trying to marathon them. It's not all that fun, because what I feel like makes Nintendo platformers like this work is just the element of like exploring everything and like seeing everything like your first time or your first playthrough, right? But the gameplay doesn't super change. It changes with like power ups and like level design and all that, but it doesn't like really break its formula for me to be like super like invested and want to replay it over and over again. And Donkey Kong Bonanza, as beautiful as the game is and how fun it is to just smash shit and, uh, tear through the level and just roll, flip, and just throw stuff. Admittedly, in the same breath, I have to say, like, I couldn't marathon it. It got really old, really fast in those moments. But when you play it in like days and days at a time, it's really fun. The final act too was also incredible, barring that stupid gold requirement. Well, spoilers if you haven't played it. The stupid gold requirement required to continue up to that point is ridiculous. The game never warranted having to do that beforehand, as far as I know. So having to do it randomly at the final part of the game or nearing the final end of the game, and a ridiculously like demanding amount too, because by the time like I was at that point, I was at like 300,000 gold, and I was like borderline broke by the time I filled those prices. I couldn't even fill the very last one. But other than that, I really enjoyed it. It was a very much breath of fresh air for a 3D platformer. Which makes me want to go back into Astrobot, but I think I may wait maybe a little further out because I'm not really truly ready to head back into that game yet. But there's that. DLC for Bonanza, it being $20 for what it is. I don't really have I don't have anything strong to say about it, honestly. It's more or less just DK Island free roam and a roguelike mode that if you liked it, you'll enjoy it, but if you don't, you'll just kind of look the other way. I don't have a strong opinion on it. Then you have Night Rains DLC. I enjoyed it, actually. This is one of those other subjects that it can warrant like its own like little like thought experiment video, like just me going over games like I've played, and I think that would go far better than an introductory video about what I've been doing. So let's just kind of push that aside. I'll just say that I liked it better than Shadow of the Erdtree, but I'll leave it at that. So that's been really my highlights of this year. It's mostly been the games that I've been playing. I have way more, of course, like fighting the Interconsort Radon mod for Elden Ring. A lot of Elden Ring to go over. A lot of community stuff that I wanted to go over. A lot of just a lot of like points and like community discourse I wanted to go over too. Just a lot, and games I've played too, like Dark Souls 3. I beat that last year as well. Like there's a lot of stuff. But maybe I might have like my own separate piece of content for that. But let's get into like I will call the productivity side. The last video I uploaded was a part of a Supersonic motivational quote video, and it was essentially dead silence from there. I didn't approach the channel for the rest of the year, not because I was lazy. It was more of a fact of I ran another block of having to figure out how I'm going to pursue creating stuff in the future, because I'm thinking of a lot of more ambitious stuff to do again, but this time I think I did a bit better where I'm not thinking of like an expectation I have to meet. It was more or less just I have to commit to that. I have to commit to having to finish that project. But in the meantime, it's when I'm trying to do that, I kind of just let it sit, and then I work on something else. But my plan now is, I think it's better for me to work on things in the background still, because it gives me something to do, but I'm not also like immediately looking toward like what the channel is doing, because the channel seems to be still gaining some traction even when I'm not uploading anything, and I think it's mainly because the Pixar Sora short that people are still finding it. So I'll take that. Actually, that's publicity to some extent, but again, I'm not looking for that, like super looking for that, right? Because I still want to make what I want to make because I want to. So going off from that, I've been working on a lot of stuff in the shadows. Well, in the shadows, that's just kind of cringe. Okay, I've been working on a lot of things in the background, not really saying anything, just kind of just chipping away at stuff to give myself more stuff to do, at least when I'm away. In terms of like big projects like chapters, I have been contemplating actually canceling Fighter's Tournament Onward, because it's a workload that I don't want to take per se that much anymore. But here's what I mean. I don't mean like canceling all of what I'm doing, canceling all the Fighters Tournament. No, absolutely not. It's more or less like actually like condensing what I can do in one fell project or one fell swoop, rather than like, you know, making an art piece, making chapter for set, making a chapter cover art, making chapter art itself, and then, making the adaptation like a year or so after that, and then on top of that, make art for that one. Like, it's a point I've made it before. It's a lot of stuff to do for one project, and I've told myself, yeah, I could still do it. I could still actually get this. I can get through this, but I notice that every time it gets me less and less enjoyment out of it, because there is a lot to commit to, and it's hard to focus on one particular one where you can very easily in the same program, you know, do something else, right? Like, I make all my renders and animations in Blender now, in case everyone doesn't know. So all the output I've been making is specifically from Blender, of course, with photo editors not accounted for. So with this in mind, like, I've been working in Blender crazily, even like off like videos, for like, yeah, almost a year or a year or two, which is another point I'll get into probably at the very end. But yeah, I've been working on a lot of Blender stuff for a while now, and a lot of my output has been through Blender, and it's a lot to take in, honestly, to really think about how much I've invested in that program. And even though it's like, no one ever sees it, like, like, no one really knows the output, right? I'm not trying to say it like, oh my god, like, I've worked so hard or something. It's just looking at the output I've made over the course of like the year I've spent using with Blender. It's insane. But I think I'm at that point now where it's like I have to think about what I'm really wanting to do with Fighters next. Like, would it be a chapter, or would it be or part of the adaptation, or the secret third option, something completely unrelated, something like in Blender, like a side video that I can work on that, isn't a part of the series, just a random one-off. Again, those can change in scale. So something can go from like, a mere bit of animation, a mere cut, to like a whole like mini video. And that's where, like, again, I kind of start getting like overwhelmed and like distracted, because it's a lot, because Blender is a universal program for me. So having to figure out like what I want to do in that say universal program, and figure out just nothing and get nothing done, is grating. It's exhausting. And it feels like I can't really open the program anymore. But again, I'm taking some small steps to figure out what it is I really want to do, and I feel like having to cancel Onward, like the Wattpad novel, in case you guys don't know, because it's not because I don't like it. It's because the way it's structured right now is genuinely, it's a lot of work for like a side, but what I thought was going to be like a side project, but now looking at it, it has as much importance as the animation. And I haven't been working on that because, just thinking forward, like, how do I want to approach art right now? Do I want to make it more like a sort of comic style, or do I want to keep it with select images that can fill the blanks in the head, in the reader's head, right? I think like there's that little difference that I don't really know like what to like expand upon it with, right? Because I feel like once I figure that out, I know how to continue onward, but I don't know if I want to commit to learning a whole different style, which is drawing everything, because we run into the Blender issue, where it's more or less I start doing that more than the 3D stuff, and so we're back at square one. But another idea is again to still draw it, but leave the animation stuff solely in Blender. Another idea, right? But that requires a whole other learning curve, and I don't really know if I want to do that too. Because I can stick with Blender because I understand it, I think, the most out of all of these avenues right now. So that's been the impasse for production stuff, or like making stuff. It's having to know like what to work on and when to work on it. I don't give myself deadlines because I feel like that's just limiting me of actually taking my time and actually cooking with what I want to make. But in the meantime, it stagnates and I don't really have anything to fall back on, right? So I'm not sure if I want to change it or leave it as it is, because it has its positives. This way of thinking has its positives and its negatives, but I, at the same time, a part of me says I do want to move forward with fighters as well and move forward with 3D animation too. It's just having to commit and like concept and like actually like plan things out, right? Once we get that part figured out, I feel like that's the only real issue nowadays that I face when coming up with something. With artwork, you can kind of just wing it. I just normally wing it for the most part, or if I want to test something, I just make something that warrants it. But with actual animation, it's again, it's planning. You need to plan, you need to storyboard, all that, and I'm scared of doing that because it feels like I can't just. It's not my imagination, which sounds weird, right? Because it's coming from me, but it's a part of me that I feel like it's not like I'm not winging it, right? It's like it's not. I have to see it somewhere else, and then put it somewhere else. And it's like I want to do it in one swoop, but again, I can't do that because it's not that simple anymore. So with that, again, I think there is very much room for improvement when it comes to that, and the only way we'll only really move forward with this creative field is to plan things out and visualize things and just go from there. Because I feel like once you actually plan stuff out and actually visualize it, and it all starts to make sense to you, just translate it over to try translating over to the actual product or project, right? And then it's smooth sailing from there. It's because now technically it feel like your actual old step-by-step thing come to life, right? Which is something I actually do like seeing. So I think that may be the very much the, not the end all be all, but a better planning process for future projects as well. So with that, I'm pretty sure that's kind of everything I wanted to say. It's probably a longer video, but I just kind of wanted to come back and say I'm not dead or anything. Just I'm working on stuff in the background. I'm practicing, planning and executing, and of course I haven't gave up on Blender at all. Just a lot of things to take my time and just having to plan things better and having to sit down and actually think of ideas and just brainstorm, visualize until you find it, and then just work from there. In terms of anything this year, I do have at least 2 animations planned this year. It is a Sonic EXE video. I'll have an image up to sort of describe what it is, or sort of give you an idea of what it is. And of course, episode 17, which the adaptation for this one will be different. I may go over that in another video too, but a lot of changes are probably going to be made to sort of compensate for Onward. Fighter Tournament Onward, again, it may be canceled, but I'll preserve it maybe as it is. I'm not sure right now. If I upload the next chapter, I don't want to expect the next one after that, because I want to try to have one real medium that I could focus on right now. That could very well be Fighters from Normal, by the way. I could just have a dedicated time to that one and making the chapters. But again, when it comes afterwards, it makes the animation part a little bit more difficult because I made those two in the same medium. So there's that. But for now, I kind of do want to focus on just my creative field. It's not a New Year's resolution or anything, just something to better my creativity skills overall. And yeah, that's kind of my plan. I have one Sonic EXE video coming up. I have episodes, well, not coming up, but I have one planned for this year at least. I have the next episode of the of Fighters Tournament probably going to be up this year too. I don't know when, honestly, but when it gets closer, I'll definitely just let people know that that's on the list for this year, and I don't have anything else planned for the rest of the year as of right now. The motivational supersonic quotes video, that could still very well be this year as well. Again, I only have 2 things on my radar this year, which sounds like nothing, but again, when you know how long animation is, you know how long it takes to plan stuff out like this, it could take a while. So I at least have 2 projects planned this year that I do now. Okay, I want to correct that. I'm not going to promise that they'll be out by this year, but they're planned to be out this year. And then, just seeing what happens from there. More projects, unannounced projects could be shadow drop just because. Just giving like a general overview about what I'm going to put out is just really 2 concrete videos right now. I do have another project that I've been chipping away at personally, but again, I'm probably not going to reveal that still anytime soon. But again, it's another thing I'm working on in the background. So again, showing that I still think about animation. I still think about it from time to time. I still think about fighters, of course. Yeah, that's honestly it. Thank y'all for hearing me yap. Thank y'all for hearing me. If you're just now watching this video, I'm an animator, creative guy that cares a lot about I'm a red guy in Mario and Sonic and Kingdom Hearts and From Software games. Thanks for listening. I hope y'all have a good 2026 or hopes of a good 2026. And yeah, thank y'all for watching, and I'll see y'all when I see y'all.